I don't know, y'all. Narcissism is a buzzword, and I am acutely aware of how misused it's been. But I do want to be clear. I think this is an extremely important conversation. As dangerous as it can be to misdiagnose somebody or overdiagnose somebody, I think with narcissism, it is at least equally dangerous to miss the diagnosis completely. Because if you are not aware of the signs and symptoms, as I was, it's very easy for you to unknowingly position yourself to be taken advantage of. It is crucial that anybody they're in relationship with take the time to arm yourself to understand the toxic ways that they might be prone to show up so that you can protect yourself. And I would also say, maybe ask yourself if this is your ministry. Are you called to this? I myself know I am not. I naturally am inclined to try to understand why somebody might be motivated to do something bad. Even if this person didn't know any better, even if this person was ignorant to the effects of their actions, that doesn't negate the effects of their actions. The why doesn't excuse the what. And so for those reasons, I am out, y'all. I am out. All right, guys. So last time we talked, I spoke about 3 of the 9 traits of narcissism as defined by the DSM-5, and that stands for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So today, I wanted to kind of just run through the remaining 6 characteristics, and then hopefully, y'all, I can put this shit to bed forever because I am really tired of this discourse, to be honest. I don't know, y'all. Narcissism is a buzzword, and it's been oversaturating our conversations in recent years. And I am acutely aware of how misused it's been. But I do want to be clear. I think this is an extremely important conversation for a number of reasons that I'll go into. First, there was a post from an old friend that I saw recently, and they were basically cringing at the overexposure of people's personal lives on social media. And I don't think this post was directed at me. It could have been, I don't know, but I really don't think people are thinking that much of me to craft a post about me. But it absolutely applies. I be on here sharing my business, like all of it, a lot of business. And I can see how it can be very cringeworthy to people. I myself have to work through feelings of, is this too much? Is this not, making sure that I am sticking to my principles, my why, right? But I want to make it abundantly clear exactly why I do this. I truly do despise, from the depths of my soul, despise the pain, the darkness, the lies that dishonesty breeds. And when I say dishonesty, I don't mean the people playing in your face, lying type of dishonesty. I mean the dishonesty of omission. People choosing to skip over valuable portions of the truth. And usually it's for good reason. Usually it's things like to spare somebody's feelings or to be tactful. There are good reasons that people omit things. However, and still, I know that in my experience, if God didn't make me the way that he did, a lot of these things that are omitted in just general society would lead me to believe that there's something wrong with me, would lead me to think that I wasn't cut out for motherhood because of what I felt during pregnancy, or that I wasn't wife material because of my divorce, or that I wasn't valuable because of the treacheries of this dating scene. I'm grateful that I know better. I'm grateful that the way that I'm wired doesn't lead me to automatically feel some type of way if I don't see my experiences portrayed in the world around me. But I know there are a lot of people that don't feel that automatically. I know there are a lot of people that struggle feeling alone in their experiences in life and feeling inadequate in the way that they handle life or what they're put through. And I'm here to hopefully dispel that myth. Because I found, as it relates to narcissism, as dangerous as it can be to misdiagnose somebody or overdiagnose somebody, I think with narcissism, it is at least equally dangerous to miss the diagnosis completely. Because if you are not aware of the signs and symptoms, as I was, of narcissism, it's very easy for you to unknowingly position yourself to be taken advantage of. And usually it's by somebody that you think loves you, right? Yeah. And so, hey guys, welcome back to Lex Talk. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alexis, and this is exactly the purpose of this channel, to have real conversations about life, love, and relationships, because I truly believe that there is healing at the intersection of our testimonies. And I am here to hopefully expose myself enough to make somebody feel less alone in this journey called life. All right, so the 3 traits that I spoke about last time is grandiosity, the constant need for admiration, and lack of empathy. Now, trait number 4, let me read it exactly word for word. It says it's a preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. All right, so in essence, this is Donald Trump. Narcissists often have a very idealized view of themselves and their lives. So Donald Trump, he was the best at everything. He was the best looking. He had the best spouse. He had the best kids. He had the most money, the most power, all of the things, right? Now, of course, he was a very exaggerated view of this, but at its core, this perfect perception of himself is kind of the foundation of a narcissist's self-worth. They see themselves as perfect or as needing to be perfect, and that kind of underpins their entire existence, right? And so it can't be fucked with, or they spontaneously combust. They immediately self-destruct, right? So there was a time I was talking with my ex about postpartum depression, y'all. And I was basically just saying that, I believe it's a thing, and I could really understand how a woman that is, having to give up everything to sacrifice herself for this miracle of life, then hormones all over the fucking place, and then be thrust into this extreme exhaustion of trying to take care of a newborn. I could see how maybe she could lose her shit and do something unthinkable, right? Well, my ex would not stand for it. Not only was this completely unacceptable for any wife of his, but the reality of postpartum depression was basically fake news to him. Like, it did not exist in his world. And y'all, mind you, he's a whole ass medical professional. When I tell you that this was mind-boggling to me, that's an understatement. So he just couldn't bring himself to accept that I was a woman, that I was human, that I was his wife, and I was also at the same time susceptible to this reality. Like, this was a moment where he was confronted with a reality that didn't line up with the story that he was telling himself, And so, yeah, he just it was a whole argument, and I was shocked that I was having to convince him that, like, this is, what are we doing here? This is not even up for debate. This is a fact, you know? But it was what it was. All right, so number 5, believing that they are special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high status people. A common phrase, or common phrases that I would hear from my ex: you don't get it, they don't get it, nobody gets it. There's very few people in the world that he felt could truly understand the weight, the burden of what it meant to be so fucking special, so chosen, you know? There'd be times that he'd be trying to get me to do something, and for whatever reason, he just couldn't explain it to me. He would basically just be like, just trust me. You're not going to get it. You just have to trust me. And y'all, when I tell you, I had such a hard time with this. It happened over and over in our relationship. I had such a hard time with this because in my life, I tend to reserve that blind trust, that blind faith for God. Not regular ass humans. Not regular ass flawed humans. I don't. And so this definitely became a weird struggle, a point of contention for me internally, because, you know, I understand where he may have been coming from of, you know, as the man, the head, to lead our lives. But I just, listen, this is where I think people do have to be very careful with some of the tenets of our faith and how they can be misconstrued and used to manipulate people. I'm not going to preach on that, but what I am going to say is I believe that for a man to lead me does not mean that I have to suspend all sense and sensibility. I believe that you can lead me and things still kind of make sense sometimes, you know, like I don't believe I got to just lose my whole goddamn mind in order to be led by you. I don't believe it. I won't receive it. Never have, never will. But anyways, now I can see that he absolutely did want me to see him in the way that I see God. Like he wanted me to give him that same respect that I give to God, that I follow him blindly. He wanted me to do the same thing because, you know, in much the same way that it says that Christians are, you know, that we're set apart. Homeboy felt he was set apart from the set aparts. So like there was no, even when we went to therapy, there was no person that was man enough, black enough, Haitian enough, worked in the medical field, had a wife named Alexa. Like everything, his situation to him was so uniquely specific that nobody could ever get him. Nobody could ever identify, which made it extremely difficult to get through things because he would always kind of fall on that trope of, you just don't get it. At which point I had to be like, well, maybe I don't. I don't know. I couldn't be in his mind. I felt like I got it, but if he's telling me I don't get it, who am I to dispute that? All right. So trait number 6 says, a sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment, or automatic compliance with their expectations. Y'all, narcissists have no fucking boundaries for you. For themselves, they absolutely have boundaries. They have things that they will and will not do. But to everyone else, they expect unrestricted access to you, to your resources, your time, your energy. And they'll make you feel bad if you don't give it to them. So years ago, there was an event that was happening, and my ex wanted to participate in this event to promote his business. Well, I had a client at the time, a client of my firm that I was working with, that had property that was in a prime location for this event. And so, wouldn't you know, my ex basically wanted me to ask if my client would allow him to set up shop on his property for the event. Now, I don't know if y'all are aware, but this is an extremely unprofessional request. period. Not only does it jeopardize my firm's relationship with that client, but it also exposes that client to liability risk if anything were to go wrong with my ex and, his business shit. I'm embarrassed to say, but I did ask my client. And luckily, my client was an extremely savvy and astute businessman, and he had so much tact. He was able to shut it down without anybody feeling some type of way. And I am like it is because of him that we all dodged that bullet. But the narcissism of that situation, it wasn't in the request itself, but it was in the pressure behind it. It was in my ex basically communicating to me in so many words, if I loved him, then I would do this for him. If he meant anything to me, then I wouldn't put my job before him, before my family, right? Now, I know that, I don't know, maybe this seems like something that you guys would have seen through, and I hope that I can communicate this well or convey this well. At this point in our relationship, this had been a dynamic for us. Basically, anytime that I would assert myself, basically set boundaries and choose myself, say this is something that I will do, this is something that I won't do, he would then kind of hang it over my head as an example of him having to take a back seat to something that was more important than him to me, And as somebody that, I don't know, the people that are in my life that I love, I love them. And when they tell me that something I'm doing is hurting them, I hurt, and I'm going to try to, if it's within my power to accommodate them, I will, And so there's that gray area of, I can do it, but should I do it? It's not, if it's beneficial to them, but not something that is beneficial to me, where's the line of when it's a problem versus when it's something that I can accommodate? It got very tricky because, of course, it's playing on my heartstrings. This is the man I love. Not to mention, he's walking around with his head hanging low because I hurt his feelings. I made him feel like something else or someone else was more important to him, important to me. Manipulation, y'all. Manipulation. What I would have rathered is if I knew that my ex had narcissistic tendencies, and I knew that this was a tactic that is often employed to manipulate, whether knowingly or unknowingly, I would have loved to be able to assert my boundaries in this situation and still affirm him and say, I do recognize that this would be a great opportunity for you, and I'm honored that you would entrust that to me. But I don't think that this is something that I can do because of the predicament that it puts my career in, and everything I work for. Ethically, I'm not comfortable doing this. Period. And I need you to respect that boundary of mine. Even if you don't like it, even if it's hard, I understand that, but I do need you to respect it. I wish that I had the words at the time to articulate that. I wish that I had the understanding at the time to realize that it wasn't me, that it was him. But anyways, this is a good example of the importance that a narcissist needs to feel and the manipulative tactics that they'll use to get their needs met. All right. So number 7, moving right along. I think I'm doing very, very well. Being interpersonally exploitive, taking advantage of others to achieve their own ends. Everything that a narcissist does is in service to their ego, period. Honestly, the example that I just gave. So every relationship that they have, every job that they go out for, every kind word that they utter is to their own benefit, to build them up in a way. And so basically I just thought that my ex was this amazingly skilled networker. And And he absolutely is, but it's not just for the sake of it. It's not just for the sake of being a very personable person. It is to service him. It is because he sees everyone as a pawn in his game of himself, basically. And so the client story that I just mentioned was an example of him exploiting his relationship with me for his own gain. You know, regardless of how it may have affected me, that was of no consequence to him. And so this exploitation of relationships kind of feeds into a common cycle that's associated with narcissists. And that starts with love bombing, then it moves to devaluation, and then to discarding. So you'll find that many narcissists are extremely charming. And it be fucking us up, the people that are having to survive narcissists, because it's so annoying how much people be loving them, because just like, the real person behind it, but people are just drawn to their energy. They're extremely charismatic. And so, yeah, they know how to work a room. They know how to work your ass. And they will charm the socks right off your feet, child. Like, so they're going to use that charm to win you over. They're going to gain your trust, your loyalty, your affection. They're going to be extremely present. They will be mesmerized by you. In the beginning phases or the beginning stages of a relationship, they want nothing more than to be around you. And this isn't just romantic friendships. They are hyper focused on this new person that they are just enthralled with, right? And so they use this to basically sop up all of your energy. They flood you with compliments, and that makes most people do basically anything for them. And then once you are all used up, once they have gotten everything there is to get out of you, they will then start to devalue you, and they'll make you think that you are no longer worthy of their adoration, because you have done something wrong, you've offended them somehow. And then most people will go either one of two ways. Either they will work harder to gain back their affection, or the person might set boundaries and be like, nigga, please, bye, bruh. And so if they do work harder to gain back their affection, then that continues that cycle of love bombing until you're all used up and there's the fork in the road again. Now, if you choose to go the other way and set boundaries, or the narcissist feels like there literally is nothing left to squeeze out of you, they discard you. You are now of no value, not just to them, but to the world at large, to existence. They don't feel there's anything for you to offer. And that's what distinguishes the person that is super charismatic but a decent person, and versus the person that is super charismatic only to use people and to manipulate them. So, all right, now numbers 8 and 9 are self-explanatory, but I will still read them because it's still useful to know. But as soon as I read them, you're going to understand exactly what they mean. So I'm not going to go into like an example or whatever. So number 8 is often being envious of others or believing that others are envious of them. Case in point, being envious. And then number 9 is showing arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes. This is very similar to the whole like super confident kind of emotion or expression, but it probably leans a little bit more to cockiness. So absolutely the Donald Trump effect of bitch, I'm me, or don't cry mama, I'm James Brown, that kind of shit. So yeah, to sum things up, the point that I want to kind of drive home is how narcissists think of themselves, or how they think of the world rather, and how this leads them to show up or move through the world. So they basically have this super idealized view of themselves or what they need to be accepted. And they will do anything to make this a reality in their minds. And so at that point, everything that they are, everything that they do is to maintain this narrative. And so get out the way, period. But what I will say is I don't think that this means that a narcissist isn't worthy of a relationship or love or any of that stuff. But I do think that it is crucial that anybody they're in relationship with takes the time to understand the toxic ways that they might be prone to show up, Take the time to arm yourself with understanding so that you can protect yourself if and when it rears its ugly head. And I would also say, maybe it's a good idea to ask yourself if this is your ministry. Are you called to this? I myself know it is a resounding no. I am not. The way that I'm set up, the way that I naturally am inclined to not only forgive, but to try to understand why somebody might be motivated to do something bad. I am still working through recognizing that the why doesn't excuse the what. Like, even if this person didn't know any better, even if this person was ignorant to the effects of their actions, that doesn't negate the effects of their actions. And so it's only right that they're held accountable, especially when it's kind of repeated. And oftentimes narcissists are not self-aware enough to recognize what they're doing or that they're doing it. However, yet and still, I don't care. I'm not doing it. That ain't my ministry. I am not called. And so for those reasons, I am out, y'all. I am out. So I really hope that was helpful to you guys. Thanks again for joining me on this. And I think I said I was going to have another episode about this, but y'all, I'm done. That is narcissism as I know it. Watch yourself. Be careful. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready, y'all. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you are on social media, please check me out at is_Alexis. That's ISS_Alexis, no E, no I, double S. And if you listen to podcasts, check me out anywhere podcasts are found at Lex Talk. That's LEXTLK. And I can't wait to see you guys in another video. All right, bye. Toodaloo, motherfuckers. I don't know why I said that. I don't know what's going on. I should go.